Jim. This is another of the very occasional episodes of Reactors Assemble. And today we are depleted. Dean is away on his holidays and Nick and Lex are ill. But we have Doug, Super Doug, and
hello.
Super Sub coming in from the Netherlands is Ruben.
Hey. Hi, how's everybody doing?
Ruben, it's good to see you. Good for you to be here.
Thanks to be here.
Ruben's, you tend to listen to a lot of metal, don't you? That's your area, and hard rock.
Yes, I first started out when I was young with pop music and maybe a bit of soft rock. But the first band I was really fascinated with was Queen. Became a total fanboy with that band. Most of all because my parents really liked that band as well. And then I started looking for. Then I rolled into Guns N' Roses, a little bit more on the heavy side.
Yes.
Then came Metallica, and like the rest is history.
It's like a sort of the floodgate is opened. It's
yes.
Queen was your gateway drug.
Yep. And I still consider, but that's because I was raised with that music. That Queen is still favorite band of all time. That's debatable, of course, but I think really at the best frontman whoever.
For sure.
The best frontman, absolutely.
And they can be whatever band you want them to be at any given time. They can be an arena rock band. They can be a loving little ballad band. They can be, just what they could do anything.
Yeah. They first started out, of course, their first records was almost like heavy metal, a bit of a metal approach they had when they first started out. And then it became a little bit more rock, but they did disco. They, as you said, they can go every way they want. But it's so four of incredible talented musicians who came together and formed that band. It's almost insane when you think about it. Though that those four people met out of the blue. That's
and out of that random, I mean, it's just, I guess it's the same with all bands, but it's a randomness of the people coming together creates something so spectacular and so memorable and life-changing. So Bohemian Rhapsody, who could ever have come up with that other than those four people? It's the stars aligned, didn't they? It really did. It's unbelievable.
I still enjoy. I have the yellow leather Queen jacket that a patron sent me, and I did an entire reaction to Night at the Opera wearing that leather jacket. I sweltered in that, but I loved it. I still love it. It's in my closet.
I saw them live with Adam Lambert a couple of years ago, and Adam Lambert, he says it himself. Of course, he's not Freddie Mercury, but he is quite a performer, and he also very versatile, and he's got a great voice. But of course, not on the same level. But he will freely admit that. So no problem. But seeing Brian May and Roger Taylor live was absolutely amazing.
The closest I've ever got to it was I saw Foo Fighters. They played at Hyde Park in London about 11, 12 years ago. And they're very famous at the end of their gigs. They bring on guest musicians. At the end of this one, it was Brian May and Roger Taylor came out. And the whole audience said, "Oh my God, it's Queen." And they then went on to do 2 or 3 Queen songs. And it was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. One of my earliest memories of why I love music was seeing Queen at Live Aid, not actually there on TV. It was absolutely a life-changing moment for me, along with The Who and 2 or 3 other bands that played at that thing. This is what I want to be doing in my life, listening to music. It's just so good. It's so good.
But it was Queen at their peak. It was Queen at their peak, of course. And a lot of people say that it's the greatest performance of the 20th century. That they were so good. They played for like 25 minutes or something, but it was so compact and so tight. Insane.
Did you see the Queen movie? The movie that I thought it was done very well, but I don't know a whole lot of the backstory to know if they got it right or not. But it seemed like it was wonderful to me, so I really enjoyed it.
I think when with Live Aid, it was Freddie he wasn't sick at that time. But narratively speaking, of course, it was better for the movie. You know, it worked. It worked very well. Yeah, to be honest about it, it really did the members all. They did them justice because it showed that they're all four were talented, not just Freddie.
Oh, I didn't think we were going to be going down a Queen rabbit hole today.
I love it.
It's all good. It's all good. So, Doug and Ruben, you don't really know each other. Do you just want to sort of say hi to each other and sort of who you are and where you come from?
Hi, Ruben. So, you go first.
All right. Well, you're wearing a Tool shirt, so that's plus that's thumbs up for me immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you already know, I'm from the Netherlands. Started the reaction channel about 6 years ago. Met a lot of great people because of it. A lot of bands also reacting to what I did. You know, that's the biggest honor you can have, of course. And it's a lot of fun because Netherlands is not a very big country. When you go to concerts and you get recognized, that's really awesome. That's really awesome. And you have great discussions about music and what it means to different people. So that's great. YouTube. I never expected to go down that road, but very thankful because of it.
I was going to say, did you have a reason why you went into doing the YouTube channel, or was it just you fancy doing it?
My first videos were about movies, which I did in Dutch, because I was more inspired by a movie critic like Jeremy Jones or Chris Stockman. I don't know if you know those movie reviewers. All right. So I did that. But I did my first reaction video was a video about Metallica when they released Hardwired to Self-Destruct. And then I got a lot of views, and then one thing led to another.
So it was accidental.
Yeah, accidental. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
It's kind of accidental for me as well. I'm on the East Coast in America, and I've been teaching at the college level at a conservatory for more than a decade, mostly with vocalists and keyboardists, and the pandemic hit, and just everything kind of went like that, and I found myself out of a gig and not sure what I was going to do next. And so I started doing an online vlog. Actually, I wasn't even talking about music when I first started. There in the fall of 2020, we had a rather influential and important election coming up, and I was more into the politics of what was heading into 2020 than I was about music. After the election, and it was actually my little brother that was telling me, you should do these reaction videos. You're a good music teacher. Just tell them how it goes. And so I got started with that, and I started with an Iron Maiden song, and the good Iron Maiden fans sort of plucked me out of obscurity and got the ball rolling. And then I got to know all these other bands, and so it's just been a snowball effect for me. We started our Patreon 6 months after that, and we're 2.5 years into it as of now. So,
and you've got
full steam ahead
on full-time living, haven't you, from it now?
For sure. Yeah. It's our full-time gig now.
2.5 years go by so fast, right? Goes by.
Indeed. Yeah, I've got just today I was putting together my episode 640. I'm like, good Lord.
Yeah.
That's a lot and that's not even including all of the stuff I do on Patreon. That's just the YouTube episodes. So we've got a lot going. We've done close to over 50 albums now on our Patreon, and it's amazing. We've got a great poll going on right now, though. I did a poll on great alternative rock and metal albums that were released while I was in high school, which guarantees that I did not hear it in real time, because I was not listening to this sort of music when I was in high school. And I should have been, because it's some pretty great albums. I've got so Nevermind by Nirvana, Dirt by Alice in Chains, Angel Dust by Faith No More, Rage Against the Machine's initial album, Metallica's initial or the Black Album, the 9 Inch Nails, A Downward Spiral. I've got those 6, and I could have done a whole bunch more. There's Pearl Jam in there. There's Soundgarden in there. There's a whole bunch that I could have done, and they're fighting it out as to which one of those I should do.
Wow. you naming those bands, I was thinking when you were naming them all, and proud to say that I've seen them all live. So
wow.
No, that's not true. Sorry, that's a lie.
Nirvana, you never saw.
No. Okay. That's Nirvana. That's a lie. Nirvana would have been my first concert. Would have been my first concert when I was 14, I think. But they canceled the tour, and I think 2 months later, it was over for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then my first concert became Slayer, so that's a big difference.
Yes.
My first concert was Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. So it's hard once you start at the mountaintop, it's hard to just to go see anybody. Once you see the Gambler and Dolly herself in the mid 80s with your mom, it's all downhill from there.
Cool.
So how many times have you seen Tool?
Tool, just the once.
Once.
So yeah, I had the opportunity. They were coming through in the winter of last year, and so I got my tour swag. That's the 2022 tour shirt, and boy, they were one of the better bands I've ever seen live. The laser show, the way that they put all of the visuals up was really remarkable. The thing that was most remarkable about their show, though, was how little you saw of their faces, of the actual 4 people that were on stage. There was never a spotlight on James, Maynard, Keenan.
He's in the back. He's in the back,
right? Just hanging out in the shadows, singing along.
I think their presence is incidental to the show. So the music and the visuals is front and foremost.
Yep.
And that it's 4 people doing it. You kind of forget that almost because they're sort of so in the shadows and small. The stage is massive, and they're so small on it. It's a remarkable, really remarkable thing.
I've read that live, Jim.
Say again.
Have you seen them live, Jim? Too?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
Just before, when was it? June last year in London, and.
I've read that Maynard he said he can hear the mix of the band better when he's back further away from the front of the stage, and that it's easier for him to give a good vocal performance if he can hear better. So he's like, people don't care what I look like. They want to hear me sing well. And they want a good show. So I'm going to hang back here and do my thing. And it was a real remarkable show.
Yeah.
Holy crap! It was really good.
It's insane. As you said, those lights, those effects. I've seen them 3 times. The last time was in Amsterdam, and it's quite a big venue. But I was almost like drooling. I was in trance. It was incredible.
I'm still learning all of their pieces and titles and everything, and I knew several at the show, which made me happy. When somebody behind me started, they started a song towards the end, and somebody behind me yells out, "Hooker with the penis," and I didn't know what was happening, and I thought that there was going to be some trouble. I'm like, holy cow, are they here? Are they? No, that was just what song they were playing. Yeah.
When I was about 20, I already listened to Tool, but it never connected with me. They really started to connect with me when I did reactions to them. I really rediscovered them, and then I fell in love with them. I could understand their music a little bit better, also the lyrics. But it's like a metal Pink Floyd.
I 100% agree with that. When I first listened to a little bit of Lateralis, or Lateralis, depending on how you say it.
Lateralis.
A long time ago, well before I had the channel, and the only song I could remember was Schism, or the name of the song I could remember was Schism. I can't remember anything else about it at all, and it kind of just at the time said, I don't know what this is. It doesn't work. I don't want to know any more about it. And then, I don't know, 15, 20 years went past, and I got suggested to listen to some on the channel. And the first one I listened to was The Grudge. And oh my God, it made such an impact on me. And
that'll do it.
I've got to do it. I've got to listen to all of this. And I did.
That'll do it.
I did it over the course of maybe 10 months or a year. I listened to almost everything they've done, and it's just brilliant. And then to top it all, Fear Inoculum came out just as I'd sort of finished the run of what I was doing. So I'm in the right place at the right time. This is fantastic.
That's a great album.
Yeah.
It's a great
10 out of 10.
album.
10 out of 10. As far as I'm concerned.
For sure. I got the really good the box set of the vinyl of that one, like the shiny stuff. It's remarkable to play on, like, uncompressed off the turntable. It's remarkable. Really is. I've been listening to mostly a mix of prog and classic rock and some metal. I typically do metal on Mondays. I call them Metal Mondays because the alliteration is great. But the rest of the time, it's kind of a mix. One of my favorite bands, you can see it up here, Close to the Edge.
Yes.
Yeah, by Yes. It's got a permanent spot on my wall. So I really have gravitated towards Yes. Some jazz fusion has been great. And, I'm just kind of trying to hit a little bit of everything. And recently I've just started getting into some gaming music. And I am way off the deep end with that one because I'm not a gamer. I haven't been on a gaming console in 20 years. And so I'm looking forward to getting into more of that world as well. And I survived Meshuggah a couple days ago, so I'm doing okay.
I saw that video. You were not comfortable, were you?
I was not. It's like, all right, I'm going to hear this wonderfully classically trained lyricist and vocalist. And it was weird. I was going into it thinking I'm gonna have to just be okay with the drums, and I actually liked the drums. It was the singing that drove me nuts in that one.
It can do that.
I always say Meshuggah comes for me in small doses. I can't a song here, a song there, but I've seen them live a couple of times.
Wow!
To listen to them like a half hour straight, it's difficult. It becomes a little bit of a blur to be perfectly honest. I must say the track Clockworks is one of my favorite heavy metal tracks of all time.
Clockworks, cool. Maybe I'll do that one by them.
Yeah, I would recommend them immediately, especially with that video.
Yeah,
it's insane. It's the video is a 10 out of 10. The lyrics is 10 out of 10, and the music is a 10 out of 10.
Rock and roll.
So quite a recommendation there.
Often when we do these videos, we sort of try to get things off our chest, things that have gone wrong or things that are annoying you, things that are just driving you nuts at the minute. And often the one that comes up is copyright, how that affects you. Do you have problems with that, Ruben?
Not really. Occasionally, it's blocked worldwide. Occasionally, and then I won't touch it at all. I'm not going to file a complaint or anything like that. I just leave it where it is. If something is really special, then I'll make a video about the track itself. I'm just telling that I love the song and people should listen to it. But it doesn't happen very hard.
I have found that YouTube's copyright policy, I've been very publicly critical of YouTube's copyright policy. I've found it to be actually I need to knock on wood or something. It's been better the last few months, because the one thing that I've figured out is when something is blocked, if you dispute it, and the people on whose behalf it was claimed don't respond within 48 hours, they'll release it. You can release it and actually put it out. So if I'm wanting to do something like on the same day, and I work all day and I get the video done at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm going to release it to the world, and then YouTube says no, then it's kind of a bummer. But if I'm working ahead by like half a week or a week and something is blocked, like for instance, I recently did half of the side one of Ozzy Osbourne's first album, solo album, The Blizzard of Oz, and that one was immediately blocked. And I think I recorded it on a Monday, and I went into each of the 4 songs and said, I dispute fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. 48 hours later, it just comes up as unlisted instead of blocked, and I can put it out on Friday when I was planning to. So if you work around it a little bit, it's somewhat workable, but it still seems like a whole bunch of wasted energy for something that shouldn't necessarily need to be there. But it's been a little better recently for me.
Yeah. I always, when I do the videos, I always upload the video first. So just the basic video, which I download, to see if it's copyright, if it's blocked, yes or no, and then I decide what I'm gonna do with it. So it's never a surprise when I upload my own reaction video, and I always know in front that it won't be blocked because I download the video.
Do you guys have the creator? I need to look at this in my studio. The creator music, the beta, yet in your studio?
Well, you talked about this last time, didn't you?
Yeah, it's in mine. I think it may just be in the United States for now because they're just starting to roll it out. It would be the bottom, like if you're in your studio on the vertical left-hand side, to be the bottom-most one.
I've got something called Audio Library.
That might do it. Mine says creator music and then in parentheses beta. It says, but that's where a lot of people are loading in how they want to have their songs or their content treated when somebody like us goes to review it. There are a lot of these where you can go in and say, I'm going to pay $5 or $25 for a license fee to use this person's music in my video, and you just pay them. A lot of them are free. A lot of them are like if I type in, a certain one that I want to use, it'll come up, this one will get blocked or this one will get claimed. But at least ahead of time going into it. The list is growing and growing and growing on a daily basis. Yeah.
Usable stuff. Is it usable music? It's not just sort of
some of it is. Like if I go to Queen, I don't know what song by, actually I'll just look up the artist. I can look up the artist Queen. And there is like Fat Bottom Girls will get claimed. But they don't have anything that I see here that looks like it's going to get flagged as a block.
Okay.
So you can go in, and they're starting to try to be more responsive to that. So as critical as I've been of them, I got to give a little bit of credit. So there is movement, and it's a little bit easier than it used to be. So hopefully it continues.
Like I say, it's like trying to turn an oil tanker, though, isn't it? It's just a very
yeah. There's a lot of inertia that you got to get around.
I was going to say, Ruben, do you ever do albums or multiple songs, or is it just a single song at a time?
I always do. I always do a single song at a time. I never done an album review. I do album reviews, like a real review, but I don't listen to the whole album all at once. The longest thing I ever done was like in half an hour or so. You've got some progressive tracks that's half an hour, or a live performance, which is half an hour. That's what I did. I never listened from an album front to back. Never done. You're a bit of an Opeth fan, Douglas.
Yeah, I love Opeth. My brother's my little brother is the metalhead of the family. Like I was classically trained. My little brother is like, you got to listen to Tool and Opeth. I'm like, and but yeah, he was right.
Are you, Jim?
So I hope he's.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I haven't seen them live. I've got all their records now, all their albums.
I got to see them with my brother at Radio City Music Hall in 2016, and it was an amazing show.
Yeah, I've seen them live 6 times, and I got a great story. I saw them live once in the Dutch city of Leeuwarden, and it was there. They were the main act. Okay. And I met this woman, and she came in from Portugal to the Netherlands just to see Opeth. And I fixed her a ticket because she didn't understand Dutch, and she knew me because of my channel. So she sent me messages on Facebook. Could you secure me a ticket? I said no problem. So we went to that concert, and I said to her that the show was over. It's totally fantastic. And I said, I'm gonna go to outside Brussels in the summer. Gonna have another drink. We're talking about how great the show was, and I look over my shoulder, and guess who's coming to sit with us at the bar? Band Opeth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was absolutely insane. So I'm sitting there, and I'm surrounded by all the members of Opeth, and I was like, oh, I was fanboying. So hard. It was such a great experience. Having a drink with Opeth.
Did they know who you were, or was it just they did?
Yes.
Oh God.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. yeah, that was absolutely a great experience. You know, talking with Opeth, I was fanboying the hell out when Michael was talking about music and stuff like that. It was such a great experience.
And was he
Wonderful.
appreciative of the channel and the stuff that you do?
Sorry?
He is appreciative of you.
Yeah. I met him, and I met him a couple of months later. I met him again in Utrecht. He was visiting a record shop, and I saw him walking by. So I said hello to him, and he knew who I was. Absolutely, so much fun, you know, meeting him out. Did you meet? Did any of you meet musicians live?
Let's see. I have had the opportunity to meet the guys from Haken a couple of times, and there's some of my favorite musicians. They're Ross and Richard, especially. I got to chat with. I've had a chance to speak with in person with Neil Morse, which was quite fun. Right before a transatlantic show, but the time that was really kind of the most surreal was being at a Dream Theater show, and Mike Portnoy is in the audience, and he saw me and he knew who I was. I'm like, okay, this is real. This is real. And how about an interview, Mike? We're still working on that.
Wow.
We're still working on that. Yeah, but it's what you get. You know, as a person who really was just into classical for most of the last 20 years, mainly because that's the space where I was teaching, and I needed to learn all that repertoire to be able to work in that space. So I was aware of all of these bands going by me, but I never really listened to their stuff. But just getting into the music, you realize just how important it is to these musicians and the fans and what they're saying in their music. It's not just loud music. It's not, you know, there's depth to much of what is going on. Even though the sounds as a classical person might be less nuanced than I'm used to, or less I don't know what the word is. You know, I think nuance is a good word. I realize they're talking about real stuff, and they're singing their hearts out, and they're playing some really intricate passages. It's something that has made me respect it more just by going through and really paying attention to it.
Yeah, I think metal in particular is really connected to the human condition, about people and feelings and depression and blackness and darkness and all the things which are oppressive and awful.
Mm-hmm.
They try to make something positive from it, to talk about it, explain it, understand it. And
there's love songs in metal, but they don't sound like love songs. You know what I mean? They're normally about other things. Like I heard Down in a Hole by Alice in Chains earlier this week, which is it's a love song at its core, but it's also like, I love being in love, but why do relationships hurt me all the time? It was really deep, and just love getting into that stuff. I really do.
Yeah, when we're talking about Alice in Chains, of course, that entire album Dirt is such absolutely one of my favorite albums of all time. But it's such black. It really comes from the pits of hell. It's so much dark emotion going on.
I don't know it yet. I've got it on my list of things to go to. So I don't know Alice in Chains. I listened to SAP, their EP, this week on the channel, and from that, people say, "You got to listen to Dirt." I said, "Okay, I will. I'll get to it." But I don't know any Alice in Chains at all.
Yeah.
All big sort of grungy hard rock bands of that time. So your Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains.
I think they'd be a relatively regular alternative rock band without the sheer brilliance of Lane Staley on vocals.
Right.
They had a vocalist that just had a voice that was able to cut through no matter where you were. And everything that I've heard from them, it's just, whenever you hear him sing, you sit up and listen. And that was the real kind of trump card that they had. And the relationship between the guitarist Jerry, I believe, and Lane, and how they would sing together. It's just a real special thing.
Was he he died, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, overdose.
Yeah.
Drug
overdose. Yes.
Certainly bands that happens.
Yeah, and but as you said, you know, when he sings those words, you know that he experienced all those feelings and emotions and that history. You can feel that he's going through it, that he went through it. He was still going through it, and that's what made that music so special. And in it, you listen, Dirt is absolutely one of I got it on vinyl. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's on my list to do. I haven't heard the whole thing either, Jim. I've just heard a little bit of it, and so it's right now. In my poll, it's neck and neck with the Black Album from Metallica, but like everything is within a few percentage points. So we shall see.
Well, and the thing about this is something will win, but you'll get around to the next one a few months later anyway. So
yeah, absolutely.
Just sort of it's the pecking order, doesn't it?
I tell my folks it's not which one I want to listen to and which one I don't want to listen to. It's which one I want to prioritize first, and then the rest will come. You know.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you guys, I haven't released it yet, but I had a really lovely conversation the other day with gaming composer extraordinaire Martin O'Donnell, the guy behind Halo. And a bunch of other things, and because I'm just now getting into gaming music, and a bunch of people said you got to talk to Marty, and I was like, who's Marty? And then I read up on him, like, yes, I do need to talk to Marty, and he was wonderful. We chatted for I think the episode's gonna be like an hour long, but we talked for like an hour and a half. And he was a really good interview. Really enjoyed
I guess
to chat with him. Yeah.
Getting a moment in the spotlight, because being a musician or a composer for game music, you nobody knows who you are
unless the game is huge and they seek you out. You know, I did a video game theme to the video game Doom.
I was just going to mention that. I was waiting for you to mention that one. I was waiting to mention that.
And I was like, whoa, this is interesting, cool. And then like it's done better than any of my other videos for like the last 4 or 6 weeks. And I'm like, a bunch of people like Doom. How about that? You know, and just some you find these pockets of intense fandom. I found it with Iron Maiden. I found it with Nightwish early on. You know, the Yes fans have kind of come my way. Genesis fans. I even get people that are like, you know, you got to do like these old like Canterbury bands from England, and because they're into that as well. I'm like, whatever, you know, let's go. I don't have, you know, unlimited time though, so it takes a while to get through all of these things.
It does.
Jim, I heard that you were going to be looking at Aphrodite. Yeah. You know, if you turned it around, it's not quite as devilish.
Oh yeah, I got that way.
There you go. That's much better.
Yeah, but that's the number for dialing for the police and the ambulance. Emergency. We are about halfway through.
Yeah.
Very of its time. I'd say it sounds 1971, and it's quite.
That's Vangelis, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's some amazing, lush, beautiful pieces, but there's some quite freaky bits in there as well. But you know, that's kind of part of the course of prog, isn't it? So
for sure.
But I'm enjoying it, really am.
Good.
But, some of it. I'm quite glad I'm splitting it up over a few days rather than just trying to sort of churn through it all in one sitting, because it's quite intense in places. A bit like it would be trying to listen to sort of In a Time of Sugar album. Different music, but hard going.
What kind of style is it? What kind of style is that music?
It's prog. It's
like electronic prog.
Yeah, but it's got guitars and bass and drums in there as well. So, trying to think who else would be like. Do you know Vangelis? Yeah, so the music from Blade Runner. You can hear the DNA of that kind of music in some of this. But it's also quite theatrical. And I don't really know how to. There are bits in there which you can recognize as being, oh, this would be quite a good pop song for 1969, 70. And other bits which are just, well, this is just weird. What's going on here? And it's not even music. Well, it's music, but it's linking things together. So you have bits on there which are like 14 seconds. That's one track. And do you know Gentle Giant? So possibly
them back here too.
Very, very eccentric.
That's a good word. It's a good adjective. Yeah, they. I have. You talk about full albums. I've done several now, and so I have a series on my Patreon where we do specifically full albums. So I need to get through all of them in like one sitting. I will break it up a little bit. The one there's been a couple that just I barely got through because of how dense they are. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway was, for the first time, listening to that double album by Genesis, it was a lot to try to keep up with. Some of Neil Morse's stuff as well, with like The Great Adventure or The Similitude of a Dream, these hugely long concept albums that are just, wake me up 2 hours later and I got through it,
Yeah, but with Prog, with me, if you, it's hard for me to judge a progressive album in one go. But sometimes music, you really have to let it sink in, and after a couple of listening, then it really sinks in. You can appreciate it a little bit more.
Here's the one that I'm going to release later today.
Rush.
Signals. My first time listen, and I got the picture disc on vinyl.
I started listening to Rush. Oh, sorry, Jim. Sorry.
I was going to say that's the probably won't be any. Will it be a spoiler? I don't know.
So I listened to side one that had subdivisions on it mainly.
So they sort of moved away from the sort of guitar rock sound a lot with this album. It becomes much more synthy. A lot of synths on there, but it's still very, very good, and it's still very, very, very Rush.
For sure. Yeah. So that's going to premiere actually in about an hour from now.
Sorry, Ruben, you were saying about Rush?
I didn't know Rush existed for like 6 years ago, because in the Netherlands, I don't know. Now I do, but I never, in my first 35 years, I never met anyone who was a Rush fan.
Interesting. Nobody.
And you don't hear it on the radio as well. So when I first reacted to Rush, I think it was Xanadu. And the first time I listened, and I was blown away. People didn't believe me that it was my first time listening to it, that it was fake, and you listened to it a couple of times for it.
Yeah. I've had that too, where people tell me, "Wait, you have a doctorate in music and you haven't heard Yes? Yeah. What the hell is wrong with your teachers?" But there's only so much music to listen to on any one day.
It depends on when you're born, doesn't it? There's
also
no
true.
You would have heard this stuff, because by the time you're listening to music and consuming it, there's a whole new generation of bands putting stuff out. You don't want to listen to that old stuff. It's that's what my parents listen to. That's boring. I always you don't.
It's like talking to my nephew who was born like in 2004. Who's like 19 or 20 right now, and he's like, "I've never seen Back to the Future." I'm like, "What do you mean you've never seen Back to the Future or the Goonies? Come on, we got to take a weekend." So it's the same thing with us. I just missed it all, and everybody's like, "Okay, come on, we'll invite you to the party."
What's the most interesting music you've discovered as a result of the channel? And that's a question to both of you. I'm not an interviewer here, by the way. I'm just asking questions as we go along. But
interesting.
What's made most impact on you?
Impact. Okay.
That's That's really got a couple of choices, but I really have to let that question sink in a little bit, because I discovered so many bands.
For me, the most impactful band has been Yes. Even though I've done more Iron Maiden episodes than any other, but for my classically trained heart, the Yes stuff is almost symphonic. My favorite Yes album so far is Tales from Topographic Oceans, because it feels like a symphony to me. It feels like a 4-movement symphony. And so I'm used to those types of forms and those ideas. And so to hear Yes, and similarly, music like the band Marillion, who I never knew before, and Big Big Train, who I never knew before, who I've really come to enjoy. That sort of proggy stuff that's not too harsh and it's not too light, and it's kind of like grandma's porridge right in the middle, and with great singing and great riffing and drumming and playing. Those are the bands where I really sort of personally thrive. That's where I'm going to listen after the fact, or more often than not.
I think Steven Wilson has a special place. I knew the name Porcupine Tree for almost 20 years now. And when I was 20, people talking, "Oh, Porcupine Tree, that's great," and I never paid any attention to it. And then people started suggesting their music.
Yeah,
and that's also quite the rabbit hole, also with Porcupine Tree and with Steven Wilson. I saw Porcupine Tree live last year. It was that's
amazing, weren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, so good.
And I never thought to see them, because obviously they're no more. But all of a sudden they're coming back. They're going to be playing live.
So they came through on their tour through our area last fall. It's been almost a year, and I got to see them in Philadelphia, and I got to take my wife Megan, and we both consider it one of our top 3 or 4 concerts we've ever seen. And where it really tops out is the sound in the room. A lot of times you get to a rock performance and there's elements where it either is all too loud, or the bass is too loud, or the vocals are too hot, or something, but at this show everything was perfect sonically.
Yeah.
And they're pros. I mean, with Gavin on the drums and Stephen leading and everybody else in the band, it was really, really fantastic.
Yeah.
And to hear, Anesthetize and then Trains, towards the end of the thing live, I was like a schoolboy. I was giddy.
I think Anesthetize is a must-do video for every reaction channel, isn't it?
I've done it twice.
Have you done it twice?
I have. So some of these now some of my favorites I'm starting to recycle a little bit and hear different versions of them.
Okay.
So like Octavarium by Dream Theater, I heard the studio version. Well, there's a great live version with orchestra from New York back in the day, and so I heard that one not too long ago. I did a live version of 2112 by Rush as a second follow-up to the studio version, the Seconds Out version of Supper's Ready, versus the studio version. So I've done a few of those where I've done like a live version and then the album version, just so I can get a second, listen to it.
I think Awakened by Yes, I think I've done 4 times now.
4. I think I've done it twice, and I'll probably do it a third time for sure.
And they're all slightly different things. So I did one which was the album version. Then I did the John Anderson with Toddmobile in the Iceland one. Then I think there was a live one somewhere, and I can't. Oh, and the other one was the studio one again, but I did it in a different location. I took everything out with me, went for a walk, and sat down by the lake
over there
and listened to it.
I was going to grab my Symphonic Live LP, but it's over here. I can't really get to it. The version on Symphonic Live is great.
Yeah, I think I might have heard that. I'm not sure. Can't remember. Anyway, but yes. But talking of Steven Wilson, I've had an email through in the last couple of days. I've been invited to go to the immersive sound listening of his new album next week.
Can I be your date?
It's one person only on the email.
Come on, Jim.
How did you get that?
No, I don't think I applied for it. I think I had an email from the management company saying, would you like to come along to this event next Wednesday night?
Think
about that. Yes, please.
Wow.
I'm very, very excited. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to record it or film it and stuff, but I think I might have to make a video about it afterwards.
I've got a day, excuse me, next month in my schedule held for just music from his new album, just so I can, not let it pass me by before it gets, too long. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
In fact, Steven Wilson's music was my sort of reintroduction to progressive rock. About 6 years ago, my brother we were hanging out, and he puts on I got a song you should hear. And of course, with my brother, you never know what that's going to be. But it was this lovely piece called "The Raven That Refused to Sing" by Steven Wilson. I had never heard anything like it. I told him, "Can we hear it again?" We listened to it 3 times in a row. It was just hypnotic to me. And so since then, I've been, if Steven's put his name on it, I'm listening to it. And I haven't been disappointed yet.
An incredible versatile musician. Yep. Also a great producer as well for Opeth.
Yeah,
I've done extended plays on Hand Cannot Erase. I'm trying to think of the others. I've done a couple of them, and they're all wonderful. Just great.
So in answer to the same question that you said, so Steven Wilson is again the same with you, Ruben. So I knew his name, but I knew Porcupine Tree, or certainly I knew In Absentia and I think Fear of a Blank Planet, those 2 albums, but I didn't know anything else. And that's been a real revelation to me as a result of the channel. But the other one, which I know was for you, Ruben, was Devin Townsend, which, wow, that made such an impression on me. And I've become a real fanboy. I've kind of listened to every single thing. I've seen him live probably 3 times now, and I'm fully invested. But
another great living legend.
Absolutely, yeah.
I got to see him as part of the Dream Sonic tour with Dream Theater this summer.
Me too.
And the thing that was interesting. Okay, so where did you see them, Ruben?
In Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam. So I saw them in Philadelphia, and Animals as Leaders comes out, and they play the 45-minute set. They leave, and then Devin comes on, and he plays an hour set, and he leaves, and then Dream Theater comes on, plays their hour and a half. And then they all come back for the end, for The Spirit Carries On, and everybody's happy. The thing that was interesting about when I saw them, it's almost like the crowd was saving all of its energy for when Dream Theater came on, because everybody was in their seats and polite. And so Devin's up there going, "Wah!" and everybody's going, "It's jolly good. It's excellent." Yeah. And Devin's up there going, "What the hell is wrong with you people? Are y'all here? Hello?" Like he'd be in the middle of his song and go, "Hey, you stand up. You're enjoying yourself. Come on." And it was, I've never seen anybody that in the moment and flexible and being themselves on stage. He was a revelation to watch do his thing.
Absolutely. He was playing a lot of strapping young lads. He was really into the early heavy metal stuff during that when he played in Amsterdam. Fine by me, but no, they were not seated. Everybody was standing. And played luckily.
Yeah, wonderful musician. I've really got to know him during the pandemic. So like my introduction to him was when I started my channel, and he was home and doing like these home concerts in, at his compound in Canada. And I'm like, this guy can flat out sing. And then you go back and see the old stuff where he was like half bald with long hair. I'm like, okay, this has been a continuum for our good friend Devin over these years. I don't know if I would have liked him 20 years ago, but I sure do like him now.
I think it's knowing him now, it's very much easier to go back to Devin then and say, "Oh, okay, I can hear this now. I can see what's going on here." Some of those older albums are fantastic. I mean, Terrier is one of my favorite all-time albums now of his, and the strapping stuff as well. And I mean, just all of it is just so good. Yeah. How's he been? How is he not known by everybody?
I gotta tell you, it was a real treat to hear him sing part of a Dream Theater track. Because the encore was The Spirit Carries On, and of course James was out and doing it, but everybody was, in this tour, all three of the bands came out and were kind of all playing along with this classic Dream Theater song as an encore, and sort of the high parts Devin took, and I was like, that's worth the price of admission right there. That was really good. Yeah, I loved it. Great show.
I almost feel sorry for Devin because, as a lot of people, he's not a household name at all. So many people that have never heard of him. I've known him, and I've been listening to metal for almost 30 years now. 6 years ago, I have never heard of Death Thousand, and a lot of people don't know him. But everyone who listens to, I sometimes let people hear his music, and their jaws drop to the floor because of his voice, like a song like Kingdom. They become fan immediately.
Yeah. It's one of those Kingdom. It's like, oh, you hear the opening of it, and then he's like, I'm like, okay, opera singer. Where's he been? Holy cow.
But it's one of those peculiarities, isn't it? Why do some musicians and bands slip through the cracks and are not seen? There is something not quite aligning at the right time, at the right moment for them to have their moment, and they'll get to a level and they'll just stay there, being brilliant, but they don't get the wider audience, the bigger audience they really deserve. And you're right, I feel very, very sorry for them. Well, they're probably making a decent enough living and sort of.
Yeah. So I think it's a similar thing, but the other direction for one-hit wonders. They happen to have a song that hit at the exact right time, and this goes, and then it kind of fizzles. You get other people that are doing quality work for decades, and it just kind of just ruffles beneath the surface a little bit.
With Porcupine Tree, of course, they were absent for almost 10 years. And when they played 10 years ago, they played little venues. But when I saw them last year, there was a big venue of over 10,000 people. Yeah. So word to mouth spread when they were not together, and now they're bigger than ever. So that's kind of funny. That's really ironic.
Yeah, I saw them at Wembley Stadium, Wembley Arena, which is next to the stadium. So it's an arena, not a stadium. It's a bit smaller, but it's about, I think, 12 or 15,000 people. So it's a big room. But yeah, he was saying, so do you remember what song he was saying? Maybe a sort of Sky Moves Sideways, something like this. And everyone goes, yes. Where were you 30 years ago? None of you know this. So he was playing to like 4 people in a pub or something like that.
That's funny.
Right. Well, should we wrap things up?
Yeah. Talking for an hour, it went by very fast, that hour.
It did. It
was lovely talking to you guys about music.
I think Dougie there. I think he's lost. He's gone. He's stuck in one position.
He's stuck in limbo.
Oh, well. Oh,
Jim, thank you so much for the invite. Really.
It's lovely. I mean, as I said, I've been watching your videos on and off, probably more off recently, but on a lot at the beginning, and then sort of I do still see videos coming up. But yeah, you were an inspiration to why I wanted to do this, and it's I'm glad we've actually managed to talk properly now. It's really nice.
Yeah, but the great again. Thank you so much. Had a great time, and
he's back. Yeah, we'll just say goodbye.
I made it. I was all talking. What happened for me was y'all froze on my screen, and I thought, all right, I'll just take it from here, everybody. Sorry about that.
It's all right, you were frozen. I thought you were suddenly replace yourself with a Madame Tussauds waxworks.
No worries. But yeah, it is about that time that I need to go as well and tend to my own premiere. But it's been lovely talking with y'all.
It has. Absolutely. Thank you very much. And we'll try and do it again in a month or two's time.
Yeah.
Cool. 6 months. It'll be lovely. So thanks, guys. Thank you ever so much.
Next time I'm in Amsterdam, I'm going to look you up, Ruben. I love that.
I live in Rotterdam, but I can come to Amsterdam if you want to.
Either way, The Netherlands is a wonderful place to visit, and I'm sure it's a wonderful place to live. So
Absolutely.
one of my favorite parts of the world. So nice to meet you, and Jim. Stay good, and we'll see y'all down the line.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
Have a great day. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.